How many of the EU leaders meeting in Riga today expected David Cameron to be among their number? Perhaps not even David Cameron himself, but yet here he was, armed with an unequivocal mandate to renegotiate Britain's place in the EU.
There will be ups and downs. You'll hear one day this is possible, the next day something else is impossible. But one thing throughout all of this will be constant, and that is my determination to deliver for the British people a reform of the European Union, so they get a proper choice in that referendum that will hold an in-out referendum before the end of 2017. That will be constant.
Mr Cameron here is following a well-worn EU negotiators' playbook: exude determination beforehand,
they knew what real trouble was before and they don't want it again,
and proclaim unequivocal victory afterwards.
I think it was a very good result for Britain and a very good result for the United Kingdom. I'm very pleased with the outcome.
Essentially, the Prime Minister, just like all his predecessors, is trying to frame the context for these negotiations. Just what would success look like and on what subjects? The big one he's trying to push right now is a cut to in-work benefits for EU migrants. But just how ambitious is that?
I think it's very clear that the government has come at this negotiation not by asking what is our ideal relationship with the EU, but rather by asking what can we definitely be certain of securing so that it can be proclaimed a victory, so that there is no risk of being seen to have failed in the negotiation. We therefore have a very attenuated, very limited list of demands which don't address what I think for most people are the big objections to the European project and our current deal.
In Hampshire today was a conference of European Conservative politicians, among them some of the backbenchers that Mr Cameron is going to have to satisfy. For Steve Baker, benefits reform is just the start. He wants Mr Cameron to negotiate an end to the free movement of people across the EU.
The reality is that the state controls land use planning, health, welfare, education. While all the time the state tightly controls all of these things, you can't have free movement of people because others are being taxed to pay for those areas of public service. So, for example, a common complaint I've heard, or a complaint from certain areas of the country, is the school that suddenly finds it needs to teach a large number of children who don't speak English. It's not fair on the children, it's not fair on the teachers, it's not fair on the parents, it's not fair on the other pupils. But all the time you have the free movement of people plus state-provided health, welfare and education, which we will always have. You're going to have those kind of difficulties. So for me, you must have the ability to set British immigration policy in London so that you can make sure that these irreconcilable tensions in the public services don't arise.
But it seems unlikely that the Prime Minister will support this sort of change. Yesterday, Mr Cameron appointed a new advisor on European reform, Mats Persson, formerly of the think tank Open Europe. And we know what his advice is because, well, he told Newsnight back in January.
You can do some things to that, to, for example, make it harder for EU migrants to come here and claim benefits, but to strike down on the entire area would require fundamental rewriting of the EU treaties, because this is one of the founding principles of the EU. So I don't think the Tories should go there, and I don't think they will go there, but they can try to manage it politically a bit better.
Managing things a bit better politically is not perhaps the bold new relationship with Europe that many Conservatives are looking for, still less the revolution that many who voted UKIP want to see.